Advantage of being very temperature stable, and despite 2 months of 90-degree weather this summer, the temperature never came up but about 2 degrees during all of that time. So it's really an ideal place for this winter because this building doesn't actually have heat. We have heat in the restrooms on the first floor in that little lounge area, and that's it. That's all the heat there is. Since it was a refrigerated building, it didn't need it. But this area will stay very, very constant. Behind you here is the first raft system that we're building. Over here, there will be 3 identical systems in these 3 bays where we are experimenting with chemistry and design and lighting. So the first system is going to be lit with LEDs, and you see just one of the grow panels. I think there will be about 6 of those 300-watt blue and red, ooh, there it comes on, blue and red LEDs, which will travel very slowly during the course of the day back and forth on this rail system that we've built so that the plants don't all end up looking like this. And so those will move almost imperceptibly slowly during the course of the day. The top 4 tanks are fish tanks and formerly kosher glycerin tanks. And then over here, the farthest tank is a sedimentation tank where the solids will get knocked out of the water, the fish waste solids, that is. And then there's a trickle filter, so the water goes into the top piece and comes down through nozzles and through a biofilter, which is where most of the wee beasties live, which are going to convert the ammonia into nitrites and nitrates. And then from there, the water runs by gravity to the opposite end of the growing bed and very slowly makes its way across the growing bed. It has a slope to it so that all of the sediment comes down to this end so that we can pull through a couple of shower drains, basically pull the solid matter off there and send it to the digester or to use it as compost. Eventually, this whole area will get filled and the next area will get filled, and about 36,000 square feet of the building will have similar or probably a different design because this is the first one, growing systems. And then the rest of it will be taken up by, let's see, so this is part of the non-profit farm. There's going to be on the 3rd floor, which we won't have time to look at, a for-profit farm owned by some folks who are going to be working very closely with us, but as a separate company, and they're just leasing space. We'll still share energy and waste products with them, but they have a different business model that involves throwing a whole lot of money at the front end and then hoping to make it back. This is much more of a research-based farm. We're experimenting with things. We're using a lot more recycled materials. This system has a lot of purchased stuff in it, but as we build these out, hopefully we'll find more and more reuse that we can do as we go. At the opposite end of the basement will be the bottling line for the breweries, and the breweries are going to do a little co-op thing where they each spend some of the money to put in the bottling line. That includes beer and kombucha. All on the same line. So, any questions down here about the growing system?
If there is any cooperation with university and research and things?
There's cooperation with IIT, and so the guys that you see around here working are IIT students, and so we have a mixture of engineers, computer science, architecture, computer engineering, who are doing the design and construction of the systems.
But the living system is yours, like the fish biology plants.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's our little organization here. So, well, these guys are IIT students. They're actually working for me. And so, and then Professor Blake Davis, who you briefly saw running past upstairs, well, he teaches at IIT, is also attached to this project. And he's going to do some sharecropping in the next room with me here with a different style of system. And then one of the guys that you may or may not have seen upstairs on the 2nd floor, Alex, is going to be taking over a chunk of the roof to do some rooftop tower-based hydroponic growing experiments. And so I'm going to give him that space, for free, and he's going to do the investment and operate it. And so I'm trying to encourage as many different growers and brewers and food makers to come in here and all talk to each other and all take a piece of the building and work on it together, because then the best ideas will come together and flesh out. So one of the great goals here, and we didn't, actually we walked briefly through the kitchen space in the other building, but one of the great ideas here is a communal kitchen, which is on the 3rd floor, which is going to be a big space with restaurant stove and vent hood and big refrigerators and places where you can store your stuff to make your dinner or lunch, where people are encouraged to come together, all of the tenants of the building, tenants or visitors or whoever, and eat together and make food together and teach each other things and hopefully share business, so that the food-based companies in here, say the baker has a giant Hobart mixer, and maybe somebody else needs some time on the mixer periodically, and they can trade something back and forth. Trade time, trade whatever it is, trade materials. And then also the growers, the bakers, the pesto makers, and the growers will hopefully all do a lot of sharing and consuming each other's products in the process. And then, one of my great goals in life is to come to work in a building that's full of food, delicious food being made every day, and I'll never want to leave, and it'll be great.